This is an Artist Journey podcast, the podcast for people thriving and creating as artists. I'm your host, Malcolm Dewey, and let's begin. Great to be talking to you again on another episode of an Artist Journey podcast. I know we're really living in unprecedented times. This whole international crisis has impacted the world so tremendously. Of course, the worst situation is loss of life, and there's been that terrible impact right there. For the rest of us, under some form of lockdown, the impact has been emotional, psychological, and of course, our livelihoods. So in the context of art and creativity, a lot of artists have been facing a real challenge, a situation where old ideas have had to be reevaluated. Many artists are feeling a terrific amount of angst about the present and the future, especially if you have been relying on older ways, perhaps, or more traditional ways of making a living, using galleries, exhibitions, events and shows. Now with the growth of, or the necessity of some type of online communication under lockdown, the whole online concept has gained a lot more legitimacy. I guess for a lot of us who do a lot of work online, we may wonder, what do you mean by legitimacy? We've been using the internet and online services for so long. It's part of our lives. It basically has become a utility, like switching on the lights when you walk into a room. The internet is ever present and part of our business life and personal life. But the truth is that when you look at artists who are trading and carrying on their creative livelihood, not everyone is using the internet to a large extent. In fact, I'd say most are not. I've been contacted by a couple of artists recently who wanted some pointers and who found themselves now sitting with the doors of their studios and personal galleries shut, and they've relied on passing trade and to a large extent tourism to sell their art. We all know that tourism is a terrifically important industry, not just for hotels and restaurants and accommodation of any sort, but for artists as well. Tourists love to buy art and they love to meet artists in other areas as well. Tourism is huge, and that has impacted us all. As I said, a couple of artists contacted me recently, and it's not like I am any particular expert on this. I've just been learning over the past 10 years by trial and error, and with the emphasis on error because I seem to have made every conceivable mistake. But as they say, you don't learn to walk without falling, and you certainly don't learn to run until you've fallen a lot. What struck me was that each artist had different types of work and very different approaches to their businesses, but with one thing in common is that they wanted to improve their online presence and improve their income. I have been thinking about this and for some time considering perhaps writing more about the topic, because I've had my own journey from a career that I hated doing, high pressure desk job type situation, and had to find my own way out of that and into being a full-time artist. That lengthy transition that I went through was incredibly stressful and traumatic, but extremely liberating because my life is so much better. Even though the income is not the same, it is perfectly good, and that is one of the things I wanted to emphasize, of course, to anyone worried about taking up art as a full-time career, yes, you can, and you can certainly live a decent life. Okay, so having a look at taking your art business online or your fledgling online presence and turning it into something that does produce an income or does help you put your art out there and tell the world a bit more about yourself. I wanted to talk a bit about that today, but I think that the actual tactics and the technical side of taking a business online is something that I'm going to have to tackle in several installments, because there is a perception that all you need to do is have a website and some social media and then leave it to Mr. Google to sort out the problem for you. Or if you find that a bit challenging and it's not happening, all you have to do is put some ads on Facebook, maybe some ads on Google as well. And even that is not going to be the answer. Certainly taking those steps are steps that can be helpful and should not be ignored. But beyond that, what needs to be done? And suddenly artists are facing this huge expanse of techno stuff. In almost every situation where I've spoken about this casually to artists in the situation, they turn around and say, "Oh my God, I didn't realize it was so much work, and I'm not a technical person. All of this is confusing. I'm just going to look at it when I have a chance." Of course, nothing really comes of it. I think this brings me to the real nub of this problem. Taking a business online is like, for instance, renting an empty shell of a building. That is, on its own, all you have is this shell. What then? Now, is that going to be enough? Do you just have to hang paintings on a wall and sit behind a desk and scroll through Instagram? Well, obviously that is not going to really do much, and you're going to find yourself struggling to pay the huge rental at the end of the month, and most probably you will want to give up there and then, because that approach is doomed to failure. And I think we can all understand that. That the idea of bricks and mortar rented space is something that we grew up with and we can understand. You have to do a lot of work to build up a business. And if somebody said to that artist, well, it's going to take you 5 years to get your gallery and studio off the ground and turning over good business. And we've heard that before, and we'll say, yes, I understand that. I know it's going to take time, but, I'm going to work at it. But talk about the internet to someone who's not using it regularly for business purposes, and the perception is completely different. It's like, all right, I get a website and I got my social media accounts. Now I'm putting pictures on Instagram, but nothing's happening. I've only got 20 followers. I haven't sold anything. Nobody's written to me. I'm not getting emails. What the hell's going on? This is a nightmare. Internet is rubbish. I always thought it was rubbish. I'm just going to chuck it in and go back to trying to find a gallery. Does that sound familiar? I know a lot of artists have just very, very quickly felt out of their comfort zone and thrown in the towel. I think that is very unfair on every artist who takes that approach. Because the internet is not a physical building that you can stand in front of, makes it seem extremely intangible and difficult to cope with. Where are the boundaries? What exactly are you working with? It's just everything's in the air. It's ephemeral. It's just ridiculous. The reality is, it's not ridiculous. It works damn well. The truth is, it may take you 5 years to get your bricks and mortar gallery making ends meet. It's going to take you 5 years to get your online business really working well for you. It does take time. Anyone says you're going to be on first page on Google in 6 months and making lots of zeros behind whatever number you choose, they are talking rubbish. People, they are not idiots. They are the same people that will walk into a gallery. They are the same people that will log in to their social media accounts, and the same people who are going to do a search on the internet for your art. They are the same people, and they are intelligent because they have mastered the ability to find something online that they're looking for, and that takes initiative on its own. So these are intelligent people. Don't expect them to just fall over and start scooping up your art the first time they clap eyes on it on an Instagram post or on a web search. They may come back. They need to be approached another time, and so on. And when the time is ready and right, they will buy. But if you throw in the towel too quickly, you're going to miss those opportunities. And each time you win somebody over and they become a fan of your art, somebody else is going to join those ranks as well, and it's going to grow steadily that way. What am I getting at? What does this all mean? What I want to get at in this episode is take the opportunity to look at different avenues where you can increase your streams of income. And taking your business online and giving it proper attention is critical. All these artists that contacted me during this coronavirus lockdown found themselves now having to wait for everything to return back to normal so they can get some hardware they need or this or that. Now, I'm not entirely convinced it's necessary to wait and not use the materials you have at hand. If you've got a cell phone and an internet connection, you can do a damn lot already. When the lockdown lifts, don't just forget about this time. It does not have to be an international lockdown situation for you to be in a business crisis. You could find yourself as an individual where you've got a business crisis. For some reason, cash flow is no longer sufficient and you need to find another stream of income. Now, the internet is filled with opportunity for different streams of income. You simply have to open your mind to them and accept them as opportunities. Take your pick, start with one, and then move on to another and build up what works for you. There's definitely many opportunities out there on the internet. It's just a case of getting started. So what are some of the first things you can do today? Well, have a look at your website presence. Do you have one to begin with? Well, it's very easy. You could visit a site like Namecheap.com and register your domain name. Now, that's going to take you a bit of time, just trying to decide what name you like and whether it's available. The easiest route, of course, is to use your own name or some form of it and build up your brand behind your name. So very likely that you won't have too much trouble finding that name available. So register that. It's something like $9 for a year. That's really peanuts. Go ahead, do that. And then look up a service where you can host your website. And for the non-technically minded, there is nothing wrong with using a popular drag and drop website builder. They are perfectly good and it won't hold you back. The biggest issue you have right now is time. All of these artists I spoke to, time was their biggest problem. They needed things done yesterday. So the quickest route, register a domain name, link it up to a popular drag and drop a service. Maybe it's Squarespace, maybe it's Wix. It doesn't matter. Don't fixate on that decision. Just go ahead and get it done. Then, besides refining your website and getting good photos of your art and getting the gallery side of that sorted out. The next and most critical thing is to make sure you have a mailing list service. You have to build up a mailing list from the get-go. It is fundamental to success. There's simply no getting away from it. Get yourself a mailing service. You can start on some for free. There's sites like MailerLite, there's MailChimp. You can even find a fantastic lifetime deal at the moment, I think, with sendfox.com. Something like $49 for a lifetime deal on email service. They all will work. Have a reason why somebody is going to give you their email. In most cases, it's giving away something. It could be a PDF document. It could be a short video series. I've got a short course that I give away. I decided when I made that course that I wanted something of real value, something significant that I would give away for free in exchange for an email address. And then I would have a relationship I could start building with that artist. Don't feel that you're being overly generous or being unreasonable in giving something away. Take the long view and be generous, and if nothing comes of it, at least you have done your best and you've given something of value, and I think that is commendable as well. Do those couple of things: domain, website, and mailing list. You may already have a website, in which case devote some time and attention to your mailing list and building up a mailing list. I will cover many other tactics and steps you can take in the future, but this for today is number one. Well, if you want to hear more on this series and want to contact me as well, please feel free to drop me an email and make sure you subscribe to the podcast to get further episodes in this series. And above all, keep at it, work hard, and have that singular intention to take your business further. And I'm sure you will achieve everything you want. So with that, it's goodbye, and I'll chat again to you soon. Cheers for now.